Hi, I'm Jennifer Axtons, and I'm one of the trainers with Get More Math. And that I am glad you've joined this first session of the Instructional Coaches series. Now, let's talk about what we're going to talk about, right? In this first session, we're going to talk about how you could create curriculum, how you and your teachers can share that curriculum with one another, about some goals that you might want to set for the beginning of the year and as you continue throughout the year, as well as some best classroom practices to share with your teachers. In the subsequent sessions of this webinar series, we'll talk about how you understand and interpret the growth measures that are found in Get More Math, as well as how to use Get More Math to prepare for state assessment. So those sessions will come a little later in the year. First, let's talk about creating curriculum, how you can create exams, assignments, units for your teachers, and how you and your teachers can copy that work from one another. So I'm going to head over to my teacher account, which is also an admin account. They look the same. So if you're in a teacher account or an admin account, you're going to see that blue ribbon across the top of your screen. All teachers have the classes and work tab, as well as administrators, so that you can see that curriculum. You can see if you have any classes, maybe for intervention. Administrators will also have the reports tab. So since we're talking about work, let's go to that work tab. Now, my work tab may look a little different from yours. I already have some on my left-hand side, some folders for different grade levels. I have assignments and exams for those grade levels. To familiarize yourself with it, if you haven't been on this page, you can choose any grade level in that middle column there. And then once you've chosen a grade level, across the top, you'll have Get More Math's collections, topics. That's the collection we all love because it's organized according to topics. Each state has their state alignment. So any particular state that you're in will have your own alignment for your state standards. And then you have the other collections as well. Now, if you take a look at my 8th grade collection. I have an 8th grade folder that has my units already prepared. My unit 2 has the 2 topics that are found in my 8th grade, that 8th grade unit 2. So I have the assignments already made. I have the cumulative exam made. And any of my teachers can copy this. Now I'm going to collapse that. Did you know that your teachers can use the colleagues in my work button? You sometimes have to scroll down underneath stats to see it. It's a little icon, looks like 2 people sitting side by side. If you click that button, everyone will see a list of the folks that are on their campus that have Get More Math accounts. You can see the folks in your district and a copy of your own work. So what my teachers could see is my account, and they could go to my 8th grade folder and they could just hover over here and copy my entire unit 2. So that's going to copy over, and it's actually going to put it there at the top. So I'm going to move that other assignment that I have, and that's that same exact unit 2. If my teachers want to copy the entire folder for 8th grade, they could do that. Now, if I am the person who makes all of the curriculum, all of the assignments, all of the exams, then that's what I'm going to want to do. I'm going to create those. Let me collapse that. I'm going to click this blue plus sign, and I'm going to create all the assignments, create the exams, house them in the units in the way that I have. I'm going to make the name something that, and the folder name as well as the assignment names, so that my teachers know what to copy. But very often what we see is that an instructional coach or another administrator will create the exam for a unit, but not create each assignment. And so how that would look is that we would click that blue plus sign and create an exam. And let's call this the Unit 3 exam, because it's all about inequalities. And maybe I go ahead and put that as part of the name. And then let's jump back over to 7th grade. Let's go to the inequalities folder and open up this identifying and graphing, because we want to make sure that kids have this foundation. So when I look at the skills that are included, remember, whether I'm making an exam or an assignment, I'm always cycling through. We'll talk about that in best practices. And I'm going to add that skill. If I take a look at the next skill, I like this one as well. So I'm going to add that one. I'm going to check out this one. Oh, I like this one because this particular skill, it has several ways: text entry, it has some multiple choice, it has some graphing, all in that one skill. So I like that. I also like when students have to do that scenario of looking at the real world solution and deciding, real world situation, and deciding if that's a solution. We're also going to use two-step inequalities, and so I want to talk about, have my teachers include the skills from there as well. Now, there are 10 skills that I have included for this exam. That's probably 5 assignments, maybe 4 for my teachers that they're going to use for this unit. So I'm going to save that exam. It's made. I'm not actually going to give the exam. I just want that exam there so that my teachers can copy that. Now, how would that look for my teachers? So what my teachers would do is, again, go to colleagues and my work. They'd click on my name and they'd click and they would view that unit exam, set up like an exam, but it has all the skills included. And now I said that's going to make 4, maybe 5 assignments from those 10 skills. So what the teachers would do is then click to create an assignment. And maybe this is the first lesson in Unit 3, and they're going to call it 3.1. All right, name it something that they can come back and use next year as well. Now, I would, as a teacher, again, even though you've already found these skills for the teachers, as a teacher, I'm going to cycle through. I'm going to make sure I know how these students are going to enter their answers and how it looks. And I'm going to look at the next skill and, oh, that one's something else that I'm going to talk about in that first assignment. And perhaps this one as well. Now that's as big as that's an assignment that I want to make. If you'll notice, I've included those 3 skills in my assignment. The default is for students to earn 3 points for each of those skills. That's 3 problems solved correctly on the first try, if you've forgotten what points were. And then this assignment, because after August 1st of this year, all assignments now include spiral review points. The default is 8 points, but teachers, of course, could change that number if needed and make it a little higher. I'm going to save that assignment as a teacher, and perhaps I'm going to go ahead and make my second lesson that would include some of those other skills so that I would have all of my assignments ready to go for this particular Unit 3. And if I were a teacher, I would also then create a folder. Perhaps you're going to do the same. I'm going to create a Unit 3 folder, and I am going to drag and drop that lesson as well as that exam into that Unit 3 folder, drag and move it around wherever I want. So that's something that I would encourage my teachers to do. I would encourage you to do. If there are certain skills that you want included in student spiral review, so they're always spiraling through that content, ready for your state assessment, but that they're skills that we're going to include on an assessment at the end of a unit, then I would go ahead and make sure that my teachers had those available to them by either creating the exam or just creating the assignments, however you choose to do that. And then, your teachers can copy from one another as well. So that takes care of how you could create curriculum and how you could share that with your teachers. So let's talk about how you might set some goals. What are some goals that you're going to set for the beginning of the school year? For me, I think you want to make sure that your teachers and their students are getting logged in to Get More Math. Make sure that they have their devices, that the students have started. And we have a new lesson plan. I'll show you where it is in a moment. We have a new lesson plan for the beginning of the year, since so many updates rolled out in the summer, that you can use, that your teachers can use as an activity that goes with it, so that the first day they log in, they see those new changes. Are your teachers going to use Get More Math as the warm-up at the beginning of class, so they're always working in spiral review there? Are they going to use it for their assignment, for the targeted practice over the new material, as well as spiral review? Are they going to use both of those things, a warm-up and spiral review at the beginning, then that targeted assignment over those new skills, and include spiral review? You may want to set some goals with your teachers about how Get More Math will look in the classroom. How many days per week are they going to use Get More Math? How many points are students going to earn each day? If you don't hear anything else I tell you, I want you to hear this. 25 points a week earned as 5 points each day is much better for long-term retention than for a student to log in once a week and earn all 25 points that one day. Now, it's always great for students to work in spiral review, but if your students earn a few points each day, that's much better for long-term retention. So I want you to hear that part. You may also want to begin to set proficiency goals as the year progresses. I'm certain that you will want to do that, but you may want to go ahead and discuss the proficiency goals. How many students and what percentage of a class will level up to green, to silver, to gold, moving that content to long-term retention. We'll talk about those new colors as well. I also think you might want to share with your teachers our motivational lesson plans so that they are implementing perhaps some of those motivational ideas in their classrooms. And I'll show you where you find those. Let's also talk about your reports and where you find those so that you can track if students and teachers are logging in. Go to your reports tab. You have an overview. You have a teacher report. You have a class report. You have a student report. Listen, you can download any of these reports and you can even add more columns to any of those. But even from the overview, you can see who's logging in and who's not. You can go and look at individual classes and teachers so that if that goal is that everybody gets logged in the first 2 weeks of school and gets that going, you can check that. You can also check, how students are doing with proficiency. Are they leveling up to green or better? Listen, what I did is I hovered over that helper text. You can do that for any of these so that you have that information, and there's the key at the top as well. So any goal that you might set, you'll be able to see this information. Now, teachers, of course, can see that information themselves in their classes. They can see which students have leveled up to certain colors and which ones have not. Both teachers and administrators have access. Your little profile icon is over here on the right-hand side. You have access to help videos, help articles, and teacher resources. If you go to teacher resources, listen, those motivational lesson plans, it's that furthest column on the right. All of these lesson plans have been shared with us by teachers. And I know folks who are using them in their classrooms. So maybe it's that you want to do a 1,000-point club. Maybe that you want to do a green club. Maybe that you're setting certain rewards, that you're using it as a warm-up. All those lesson plans are there ready for you and or your teachers to use and implement. Now, there is a new parent guide in both English and in Spanish, and a new student guide because of all the changes that were made over the summer. The student video lesson plan, that changed, as well as the fillable PDFs that go with that lesson plan. I would encourage you to check it out, as well as your teachers, and you may want to share that with them. We have shared it with teachers, some of those changes, but I want you to know that they're there. Also, anytime you have a question, that green chat bubble, that is the quickest way to contact us. That is going to go directly to the training team, myself or some of the other trainers. We are all math teachers, and we all use Get More Math every day. So reach out, you and your teachers. You can send us a message and you'll have a response very quickly. If you want to go back and see some of the previous messages that we've sent you, just click where it says messages. In fact, you can see I have this message that was sent out about all the new changes and a frequently asked questions document so that you can see all of that information. That's there at your fingertips. So let me jump back over here. So we've talked about how you can create that curriculum, how you could set some goals. Now, here's some important stuff I'm going to share with you. The best classroom practices. Before class, I want you to make sure your teachers are using small assignments so that students are not overwhelmed. I'm going to show you how that looks, how it might look, Get More Math looks during class and after class as well. I also encourage each of you to use your state's collection so that you have the aligned skills for your state's standards when creating assignments. You also might create those units to help support your teachers. Now, let me go over to work and show you what I mean by creating a small assignment. If you look at my assignment here, it only has one blue hexagon included. When I create a new assignment, Let's go back to 7th grade. Let's just go into expressions and interpreting these expressions. When teachers are creating an assignment, they want to cycle through 4 or 5 times. It looks like almost all of these skills look similar. I also want to take a look at this one. Oh, it looks a little different, but it's still multiple choice. So if that's what I want to include, then I'm going to do that. This one, on this particular skill, the students are translating the expression and then evaluating that expression. And I really like that. But now that I have created this assignment, and I'm going to call it Expressions 1.1, I've named it. So as a teacher or an administrator, this is as large of an assignment as I want to create. When I create an assignment, I want to include 1, 2, at most 3 blue hexagons. Then those 8 spiral review points are included. So this assignment has 17 points that are expected. That means when completing this assignment, a student is going to need to solve 17 problems correctly on the first try in order to complete the assignment. Some students, it'll only take the 17 problems, right? But there are other students who may miss a problem or 2. Of course, they'll have to fix those mistakes and then solve a fresh problem and get more math. Now, that's the largest I want to make those assignments because, listen, your teachers, you are going to find all sorts of skills that you think are wonderful here because Get More Math has some great skills for every grade level. But you don't want to include too many skills at once because I don't want to overwhelm my students with too many squares at one time. It takes them a long time to level up that way. So now that's how I want to build my assignments before class. During class, what do we want to see? I think you want to see spiral review as the warm-up at the beginning of class. Let me tell you why. If students walk in the door and they know that Get More Math is the warm-up, they're in spiral review, every student, remember, has prioritized individualized practice. That $ is going exactly where each student needs to practice in spiral review. So each student has an individualized warm-up, practicing what they need to. They've also learn to come in the classroom, get their devices out, log in to Get More Math, and solve a few problems, earn a few points. Then as the teacher begins the instruction, I can't do it on my device because it's going to close it, but perhaps students then just cant the lid of their device. They don't close it all the way. Now they're still logged in to Get More Math. They don't have to take time to go get their devices in the middle of class. Teacher provides the instruction, the guided practice, and then students just open that lid on that device, and then they're right back in solving problems. No time wasted. That's why I also encourage that warm-up. Now, I would like to see all teachers do guided practice because I never want students frustrated, neither do teachers, right? And we don't want 50 questions from students about how to enter answers. And if teachers just take a few minutes and do the guided practice at the beginning and then use current status while they're working, then students are not stuck on those. So how would a teacher do guided practice? Oh, listen. If I were using this particular assignment, actually, let's use one of those assignments about inequalities I made because I like this one better. Let's think about the 3 ways that teachers have to do guided practice. They can print a PDF. They can generate that PDF. They can actually generate up to 3 versions of that PDF. Now, the answer key is at the end, but teachers could print this. Students could take notes. Teachers could put it under the document camera and show students how to solve those problems. All right, that's one of the ways. Teachers can also preview the assignment so they can see exactly what the assignment's going to look like for students, and they could project this screen and show students, listen, there are 3 skills included in today's assignment. Those are those 3 targeted skills. You're going to have to solve 9 problems there correctly on the first try in order to finish that part. I can show the kids, here's the drop down. If I click to one of the other skills, listen, you're going to have to enter the text for this equation. So teachers could project this and show students. Looks just like the students' screens. But there's another button to do guided practice that I love. And I'm going to tell you why I love this other button. Because it's found over in teachers' class data, their student data, their exam data. It's found in current status. And if teachers use this other method, this full screen button, then Students are familiar with this view when you do remediation. So to use the full screen button, teachers click to expand. Just to the left of that cycle button that we used is the full screen button. So I could project this. Now, it doesn't look exactly like the student's screen, but it's close. I also have the answer available to me. I can show students, this drop down tells me it's open or it's a closed circle. I can show students that we're going to graph the point, and then we're going to click on that number line in the direction that the inequality should go. So I show students that. If I show students 2 or 3 of those, then I don't get all the questions. Hey, I don't know what this drop down is, things like that. Because listen, teachers can cycle through unlimited examples using this, not using up the kids' problems. Now I'm going to use this arrow and I'm going to go to that next skill that I included in the assignment where the students are going to enter their text. This is where I might show the students, listen, for greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you're going to use these buttons. But if it's just greater than or just less than, you're going to use the symbols on your keypad. I'm going to show students how to enter those answers. And then I'm going to go to this next skill and I'm going to say, okay, look at this one. This square is going to have all different presentations in it. So now, because I've done that guided practice, students are not surprised and I'm not surprised when they begin to work in their assignments. So guided practice is important. Also, when students are working in the classroom, teachers want to be on current status. And I don't have a student logged in at the moment, but when students are logged in, teachers can click on their names. Let's just go ahead and log a student in, just so you can see what I mean by this. If you haven't seen it, you'll want to know exactly what I mean. Let's see if I can log in as that student. So now that student's logged in. Oh, and did you take a look at that? That screen looks different from last year. So you may want to share that with your teachers as well. So now Darius is logged in. Teachers can click to view any student's current problem, what the expected answer is. Remember, teachers can send a message. They can also replace the problem. It's down underneath. But teachers can always see the expected answer. And look, they can see how many points students have earned and how long it's been since they've entered correct answers. I'm going to tell you this is formative assessment in real time. So you want your teachers here because they can see who understands. The students who are solving problems correctly on the first try, they're earning points. They understand. So the students that have some points, they're pushing forward. It's the students who don't have as many points as the others or have no points at all, and they're not even asking any questions. Those are the students I'm going to check in with. Maybe it's been a while since they've entered a correct answer. As soon as a student enters a correct answer, in fact, let's go over here and enter a correct answer for this student and watch what happens to this student's screen. That time since correct on current status. Now it's been updated so I can see as a teacher who's answering problems and who's not. Also, I said we want students to show work. Now, I'm going to tell you, let's jump over here and look again at that student. Students are going to say, oh, listen, I don't need to show any work. I already know how to do all these problems. It's an online problem. I don't need to show any work. But I would encourage teachers to have students either with dry erase boards and pencil and paper in a spiral notebook. For this assignment that has 11 points in it, I want my students to show the work for at least 11 problems. That way, if they ask for help, their work's there. Even if it's what they entered in the calculator, their work's there and I know how to help them, what misconception they might have. I also have work samples for any students that I may need those work samples for, and especially if I'm asking everyone to show their work. So that's something that you might encourage your teachers to have their students do. Now, after class, I would check in Get More Math's one screen if the students earned the exit ticket on the brand new content. I don't know if your district uses exit tickets or not. I love the concept. I just don't like to have to look at all those sticky notes and then go back and check with all those students. I also would encourage teachers to do the remediation from the data. What does that look like? So when teachers log in and see how the students are doing, they're going to go to Spiral Review. I can get a quick update for my class by going to Spiral Review. Not only is this all the content that I have added for this class, but it's their data. If I click on that proficient students percentage, as a teacher, I can see who's leveled up to yellow and who's already green on any particular concept. If I take a look, I'm just arrowing through these skills. If I take a look at this skill. Part of the class has leveled up to green and 2 students are still yellow. I want to do some remediation for those students. So I don't want to, as a teacher, have to go find more things. Listen, this is why I like that full screen button. Now my students are familiar with this. There's that full screen button in my class data, and I could do some remediation on this particular skill with those students. Then when they go back to their devices, because those squares are yellow, they're going to have dollar signs there. They're going to have to practice those and level up the colors of their squares. Now, I did say an exit ticket. So on the brand new content, I'm looking that everyone has leveled up to yellow. Remember, it takes 3 days to level up to green. And I'll share those colors of those squares with you. But what I don't want to see after the brand new assignment has been given to the class, after class, what I don't want to see is that anyone's untried unless they were absent, or that we don't have enough data, or that they're still red. What I want is that students have leveled up to yellow. So I can do my remediation and I can check that exit ticket. You may want to share that with teachers. Now, the student screen, I've given you that preview of that student screen a moment ago, but student screens have changed. So have the colors of the squares. There are now 6 colors instead of 5 like there were in the past. A white square on a student's screen says that there's insufficient data. You saw when I was showing that class data that there was untried and there was not enough data. And both of those are white on a student's screen. So that's a little different than it was in the past because they used to start off red. Now let me tell you what red means. Red straight up means those students are struggling with that content. And if a teacher sees red squares, I need to check in with that student because they need to level up the colors of those squares. Yellow is still the highest color level that students can achieve on that very first day of practicing a skill. That's that built-in exit ticket. They've leveled up from that white to yellow. And as a teacher, I look at that one screen. Yellow is also the highest color level that a student can get on the second day. It's not until students have been practicing a skill for at least 3 calendar days that students can move that to long-term retention, level up to green, which is the first color of proficiency. To get to an advanced level takes a student of practicing a skill correctly on the first try for a minimum of 5 days to get to Silver Star. To get to advanced, the black with the gold star in it, that's expert level. That takes at least 7 days of practice for a student to level up to there. Now, what do we want our students to do? Listen, we want them to get those squares to green, to silver, to gold. That's that proficient that we want them to see, that we want to see in our reports, that we want our students to have before state assessment on those skills that look like state assessment, right? Leveling up to green, silver, and gold is what we want our students to do. But remember, that doesn't happen the first day they practice a skill. But that leveling up of those colors to green or better, that's how we break the forgetting cycle. And that happens when students earn points in spiral review. So you want to remind your teachers of that. Okay, those are the best practices that I wanted to share with you. I hope you join us for the second session and the third session. We'll talk about those growth measures and about how to use Get More Math to prepare for state assessment. Now, I shared earlier how you could click on that profile icon, how you could click on that green chat bubble to access the resources that are available at getmoremath.com. You can always go to our website and find those same things. You can email us at support@getmoremath.com. That works as well. So again, thank you for joining me for this first session, and I hope you join us for the next sessions as well. Have a great day.